What's up, guys? Welcome to the channel. Quick little update about the job thing. The new job is going well. It's hard as hell, and it's been really hot outside, so it's been kind of tough adjusting, but it's been going really well. But anyway, so this video, I'm going to talk about 5 of the best, or 5 of the coolest shoot 'em ups that I've played thus far in my quest, my crusade to buy all the shoot 'em ups for the PlayStation 2. These last 2 months, I've been really focusing on getting everything for the PlayStation 2. Prices keep getting crazy, and I just want to get everything before I can't afford to get it anymore. And, it's really fun hunting down shooters. I had a lot of fun hunting down all the imports on the 360, so now it's time for the PlayStation 2. Anyway, first game, Gradius 5.
So the first game that we're going to talk about is Gradius 5. Now, this Gradius game is a Konami game and a long-running franchise of the Gradius series. Now, this game in particular is kind of special, and I do believe it's a PlayStation 2 exclusive. It came out in 2004, and it was largely developed by Treasure. Now, if you know anything about Treasure, they've done games like Gunstar Heroes, Radiant Silvergun, Ikaruga, Stretch Panic, right? Stretch Panic, oh god. That game left such a nasty taste in my mouth. But anyway, Gradius 5. So the first time that I played Gradius 5, I died instantly, and I put the game away. I was like, this game's hard as hell. I'm putting it away. Just the memorization kind of hooked me with this game. This game has very, very heavy memorization aspects, and when you fall in love with like cave games and Psycho games and really heavy bullet hell type of games, this game throws different aspects of the shoot 'em up genre at you, such as memorization. Although those games are certainly memorization heavy as well, this game does it in a different kind of way. I want to say that another game that's kind of similar that actually came out on the PlayStation 2 would be R-Type Final. That game's kind of memorization heavy as well. But this game's pretty stunning. Treasure did a great job developing this game. I think it looks great on the PlayStation 2. But one thing about this game is it has climbed in price a little bit over the years. It's kind of stayed at right around that $50 price point, at least from what I've seen at like conventions and stores in my area. Do I recommend it at $50? Well, yeah, this game rocks, and it's an awesome shooter. I totally recommend it at $50. But you see a copy of Gradius 5 right around that $50 price point, pick it up. It's one of my favorite shooters on the system for what it's worth. I think this game rocks.
Okay, so the next game I want to talk about, it kind of blew me away when I learned that this version of this game was actually released for this system, because I heard about the Japanese arcade game. Anyway, that game, Giga Wing Generations.
So here we have Giga Wing Generations. Now, the first 2 games on the Dreamcast. Now, the first Giga Wing I thought was great. I loved it. Great game. The second Giga Wing game, just the music, the gameplay especially, the graphics, it tried to push the game more into like a 3D look, and it didn't bode well, at least not for me with the game. And I think pretty much everyone has the same opinion as I do on Giga Wing 2. I mean, it's okay, as far as a shooter goes, but as far as, being the next game in the Giga Wing series, it missed the mark, at least for me. And I think that's what put me off from getting Giga Wing Generations for such a long time. It was one of the first games I thought about when I finally did get a Japanese PlayStation 2, but, I put it off, and I got a copy just recently. Now, this game has gotten flack, just like Giga Wing 2 from a lot of people, but I do think, at least in my opinion, this game is a lot better than Giga Wing 2. The music's better, the visuals are better, the movement, the controller, just using the PlayStation controller, I love all that, a lot better than using the Dreamcast controller, that's for sure, unless it's an arcade stick. So this game has an interesting mechanic, and I forget whether this is, like Giga Wing 1 and 2, I don't know why I forget, but this game has a mechanic where you power up so your ship powers up, every few seconds you can use this special, and what the special does is it deflects enemy bullets, back at them. Also, in the process, rendering you invincible for just a few seconds. I think it's a pretty cool mechanic. It's kind of like, it kind of reminds me in a way of a mechanic in a game called Crimson Clover, if you guys have ever played that. You have this like weird heat-sinking attack that renders you, I think, temporarily invincible, and then not deflecting enemy bullets, but throwing missiles at some enemies. It's kind of similar. Anyway, Giga Wing Generations is an awesome game. If you do own a Japanese PlayStation 2, I say pick it up.
Okay, so this next game was probably the hardest to find at an affordable price, and that game, Ibarra.
Ibarra was published by Taito and developed by Cave and released in arcades and on the PlayStation 2 in 2005. Now, this is a pretty interesting game. It has characters from Pink Sweets, I believe it is, which is another cave shooter. And I don't know what the story is behind the development of this game. All I know is one of the developers that worked on Battle Garega actually worked on Ibarra. And if you've actually played Ibarra, you know that this game has a lot more in common, at least in my opinion, with a game like Battle Garega than it does with a normal cave shooter, because this is not a typical cave shooter. I think this game has more in common with a Psycho shooter than it does a cave shooter. Regardless, still an awesome game. The most awesome aspect of this game, in my opinion, is the soundtrack. This game has a rockin' soundtrack. Like, God, I wish a copy of the soundtrack actually came with this game. I might actually hunt down a physical copy of the soundtrack to Ibarra. I love it that much. It's great. It's heavy metal awesomeness. Not a huge heavy metal fan, but I am a huge fan of the Ibarra soundtrack. This game is pretty visually stunning. The power-up system is pretty good. The scoring system's good. I do like the way that your ship explodes. It is kind of frustrating, and I wish the hitbox was a little bit smaller, like in a normal cave game. But, you know, this game offers a ton of difficulty. This is a hard game. You know, so definitely play, at least I play on the easier settings, and you know, once I master that easier setting, you know, I'll start moving forward with the normal and the hard. But you know, even on easy, this game is extremely hard, you know, just like Gradius 5 in this list. But if you can find a copy of Ibarra and have a Japanese PlayStation 2 at an affordable price, I say pick it up, because Ibarra it's one of my favorites on this list, if not my favorite.
Up next we have Absoluta.
Next we have Absoluta, a game that was developed by Cave and released in arcades in 2004 and the PlayStation 2 in 2005. Now, this game is very similar to a game you may have played called S-Parade. It's a MAME game. You have to run it through an emulator, at least right now. There is a port coming to the PlayStation 2 and the Nintendo Switch, probably at the end of the year. Pre-orders are up on PlayAsia right now, as of the recording of this video. Anyway, so first time I played Absoluta on the PlayStation 2, I put it away, said, nope, this game's not for me, it's too hard, just like Gradius 5. It wasn't until I played S-Parade through a MAME emulator for a while and mastered the mechanics of that game that I really got into Absoluta, because what Absoluta does is it takes everything great about S-Parade and adds an additional mechanic. So, what are the mechanics in Absoluta, and why are they so different than any other shooter, at least in my opinion? So the first thing is everything is based on meters, at least from what I've seen. Everything's a meter. So you have a special that you can use that's metered. You can use it a couple of times, or one really long big blast. It's all metered, how long you hold that button down. The second thing is you go into a powered up state that's also metered based on a time meter gauge. And when you're in this powered up state, the enemy's bullets slow down. You can navigate the screen better. Your shots powered up a little bit more. The main thing is the enemy bullets slow down. That, like I said, that's metered. So once that runs out and you don't hit that button again to disengage that special, what happens is I think you stay powered up, but the enemy's bullets fly twice as fast. So it has the opposite effect. So that's a pretty interesting mechanic for a shooter, I think. You know, especially a cave one. And it's a mechanic that you're really going to have to sit and play with this game for a little while to master. I mean, I have by no means mastered the mechanics of this game, but they are a lot of fun, and I've gotten pretty good at Absoluta. The scoring system is great. You know, it has a lot in common, the scoring system, at least visually, from what you see as far as your bonuses and your power-ups go. It kind of reminds you of Crimson Clover. I know I referenced that game earlier in this video. I have been playing a lot of Crimson Clover lately, and it's just one of those doujin shooters that takes stuff from different games in the genre. Anyway, Absoluta, it's my favorite in the series on the PlayStation 2. I like it better than the Xbox 360 version. You know, this game, I don't know how expensive this game is right now. I found it locally pretty cheap from a store owner in my area, but I want to say it's kind of like around that $50 price point, kind of like Gradius 5, and at that price point, I say grab it. It even comes with a DVD if you have a region-free DVD player.
Okay, so last but definitely by no means not least, we got Thunder Force 6.
Thunder Force 6. Now, I feel like the reason I probably love this game so much is because this is one of the first shooters I actually got for the PlayStation 2. First import shooters, anyway. My buddy Alex out in California, I do believe I got this game originally from him. And he's the guy that definitely got me jump-started on collecting shooters for the PlayStation 2, as well as other import systems. You know, awesome kid, glad that I met him. And if you're watching this video, thanks, Alex, man. You really got the hobby started for me, at least for the shooters, anyway. Anyway, Thunder Force 6. So this game doesn't really do anything new as far as the series is concerned. It's still a great shooter. Power-ups are still the same. The weapon system's still the same. The hunter weapon is still the hunter weapon. It's still known for being a horizontally scrolling shooter, and it still is. It does the same thing with the graphics that Thunder Force 5 did on the PlayStation 1 with the 3D graphics. Although I will say, and rightfully so, it does look a little bit cleaner on the PlayStation 2. And, thinking about Thunder Force 5, my God, I still don't have a physical copy of that game yet. There's a copy at a game store right up the street from my house, and they want $90 for that thing. It's missing its manual, right? That sucks. Probably gonna have to get the import version on that one. Anyway, Thunder Force 6, great game. Price points, I think it's pretty cheap. I don't think it's that expensive of a game, but it only came out in Japan, so, again, if you got a Japanese PlayStation 2, I highly recommend finding a copy of this game because it rocks. And if you're a fan of the Thunder Force series, there's no reason why you should not own a copy of this game.
Okay, so that's it, guys. Those are just 5 games I wanted to showcase real quick. A lot of you guys that are into shooters, you probably already know about those games. Those are just 5 games in my collection. There's so many shooters on the PlayStation 2. When you think about a system with a lot of shooters, I think about, the PC Engine, the Sega Genesis, the Sega Saturn. I don't think about the PlayStation 2, but when it comes to shoot 'em ups, there's quite a few releases on the PlayStation 2, at least over in Japan. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Make sure you like this video, and if you like awesome video games, especially awesome shooters, make sure you subscribe to the channel. And I've been going nuts buying Dojin PC shoot 'em ups, and some of those games are better than any console game I've ever played. Look forward to that video. Till next time, guys. Peace out.